Have you ever wondered? A community that makes up only 0.2% of the world's population. Yet they lead the world's wealthiest families, the biggest companies, and even the global financial system. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, Zuckerberg, Spielberg, Einstein. Is it all just coincidence? Or is there an ancient wisdom passed down through generations? Today, we open the door to a hidden truth buried deep in history. Why are the Jews so rich? The answer lies much deeper than you think. For thousands of years, they were exiled again and again. Their homes, lands, and possessions were taken away. But notice this: they never lost their minds. Every departure became a rebirth. They had no land, but they had knowledge. They had no wealth, but they mastered trade with their minds. That's why, throughout history, the Jews invested in what we now call portable wealth: knowledge, gold, jewels, money. Wealth that comes from the mind. In medieval Europe, Jews were banned from many professions. They couldn't own land, serve in the army, or hold public office. But there was one job nobody wanted: handling money, lending, interest, trade. So they built their own empires in the very field everyone else avoided. And in time, they became the veins through which Europe's economy flowed. Perhaps fate handed them the most dangerous, yet the most powerful weapon of all: the knowledge of money. A Jewish proverb says, "You can steal from a man's pocket, but never from his mind." From an early age, Jewish children learn to read the Torah. But it's not just a holy book, it's a philosophy of life. Every line teaches questioning. It doesn't say, memorize. It says, ask why. That's why in Jewish culture, to question is sacred. Wealth is not the goal. It's the natural result of wisdom. Maybe their true secret isn't their wealth, but their loyalty to one another. When a Jew becomes wealthy, their first investment is in their own community. When a Jew opens a shop, their first customers are other Jews. To outsiders, this may look like a secret network, but in truth, it's a centuries-old chain of trust. They know one hand is weak. But when hundreds of hands join, an empire rises. The Torah says, "Wealth is not evil, if you use it for good." That's why for Jews, money is merely a tool. The purpose is to serve, to teach, and to leave a mark that lasts. From every profit, a portion goes to the poor, to education, or to the community. This tradition, called tzedakah, charity, is believed to bring even more blessing. So they don't just earn money, they make it live. Although they are only 0.2% of the world's population, Jews have won about 20% of all Nobel Prizes. Einstein, Freud, Marx, Kafka, Spielberg, Zuckerberg. Science, art, philosophy, technology. Wherever you look, there's a Jewish mark. Because for them, thinking is like breathing. When you ask a Jewish child, "What will you be when you grow up?" he doesn't say rich. He says, "I'll make a difference." Maybe that's why wealth follows them, not the other way around. So, what's the real secret? It's not in the money, it's in the mindset. They see money not as the goal, but as a tool. They may hold the wealth, but their minds chase knowledge. Wealth is the outcome of discipline combined with faith. Learning every day, planning ahead, thinking long term. In Jewish tradition, these are not just habits, they're acts of worship. A Jew does not start the day randomly. In the first hour of the morning, they pray, give thanks, and then plan. The first thought shapes the entire day, they say. This is why the belief, wealth begins in the morning, exists in their culture. If you cannot control your thoughts, you cannot manage money either. Every Jewish family tells their children, knowledge is the greatest inheritance. Even if a family is wealthy, education comes before money. School is not just a building, it is a temple of knowledge. This is why Jewish influence is strong in universities like Harvard, Yale, and Stanford, because they know wealth is preserved through learning. For Jews, commerce is not just about profit, but a matter of character. If you lose trust once, you will have to explain 1,000 times, they say. This is why their greatest wealth is their reputation. A Jewish merchant is known by their word before their signature. You may lose money, but never trust. Historically, they were one of the communities that suffered the most. But pain did not break them. It shaped them. Every ban, every exile became a lesson. That is why they say, pain is the teacher. And that teacher transformed them into one of the world's most brilliant minds. In some cultures, wealth is frowned upon. But among Jews, wealth is a test from God. What will you do with your money? That is the real question. If gain is not a blessing, it is a test. And they have learned to pass this test with wisdom. Jewish teaching begins with the oral Torah. Knowledge is passed from master to apprentice. Each generation carries the knowledge of the previous generation, like a brick. That is why a Jew never grows up alone. They inherit the wisdom of the past. This chain of knowledge shapes even today's billionaires. One of the first to keep accounting books in history were the Jews. Every income, every expense, every idea was recorded. Because forgetting is the beginning of poverty. Writing ensures the permanence of thought. And this habit has kept them prepared for centuries. So, the answer to why are Jews so rich is simple. Because they never saw wealth as just money, but as knowledge, discipline, and wisdom. True wealth lives in the mind, the character, and the patience of a person. So what do you think? Is wealth inherited or created through thought? Let's talk in the comments below.